everyone, I'm Abigail, this is James, and welcome to another Two Kid interview.
We are joined today by Roshan Sethi.
Mr. Sethi is a doctor and oncologist.
Wait, what? You told me I'd be interviewing a movie person. No offense.
We are, he's both.
That's impressive.
Mr. Sethi wrote for the doctor show, Hood Black.
He then co-created and wrote the doctor show, The Resident.
He wrote the movie called Jane.
Wrote and directed the movie 7 Days.
And he wrote and directed World's Best, which started streaming today on Disney+.
Dr. Sethi, congratulations on World's Best, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you guys for including me. I love that introduction.
Okay, be honest. Someone may introduce a director like Jaws director Steven Spielberg. Do you name this movie so people would go introduce you as World's Best Director Roshan Sethi? Sethi?
It's so funny. That's the first time I've ever thought about that because you pointed it out, and that's so true. What a good reason to call it World's Best. No, the title was chosen before I even arrived on the movie. It was written by two other people. And by the time I came onto the project, it was already called World's Best. But that would be a good reason.
We can use that title when we put this on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. World's Best YouTube video.
Before we get into World's Best and your other work, I was just thinking, with you being a practicing doctor and writing and directing, do you sleep?
I actually do. What's a good question? I actually do sleep 8 hours a day. I need to sleep 8 hours. Otherwise, I can't function. If I get even less than 30 minutes, 30 minutes less than 8 hours, I have trouble. So I always sleep 8 hours, but I move fast. I'm just kind of very efficient and get many things done. Also, I don't practice medicine all year. I only practice it for 9 weeks of the year. So that helps me because I'm either full-time doing movie stuff or full-time doing medicine stuff. So that's how I've managed so far.
I believe World's Best is your first work for children. What made you decide to do this?
Well, the movie was sent to me actually, and I had no prior ambition to direct a children's movie or a family movie, but I loved the script so much, and I happened to have a sort of innocent, loving heart myself. So it was very easy to connect with children. I also medically was interested in taking care of children before I switched to adults. So it made sense for that reason as well, back when I was in residency in medical school.
Is it important for you to bring the Indian American culture to the screen?
Yeah, I think it is important. I'm most interested in just making stories about people who look like me or don't look like me, and also a world that feels like the world we all inhabit, where we're constantly talking and interacting with people who come from all kinds of backgrounds, and everything is all mixed up together. It's a hip hop musical, which is not traditionally related to being Indian at all, and yet it's centered in an Indian family, and I think that's the nature of the world today, that we're all mixed up with each other in really helpful and beautiful ways.
The music itself is one of the stars of the film.
Were there any movies or shows that influenced you with that?
Yeah, I love musicals. So I really love the movie Chicago, which I think you two are too young for. I love Cabaret, which you guys are also too young for. Trying to think of a movie that you're not too young for. I'll have to keep thinking about that. But I grew up also on Bollywood, which is always musical. Almost every Bollywood movie is a musical. There's usually 4 to 6 songs. So I've always wanted to do something that had music in its veins, as this movie does.
How much of you is written into the character of Prem or even Mercedes too?
Well, a lot of me is in Prem in this sense, and I didn't write it, but I happen to identify with it, which is that he is sort of stuck between math and rap. And I myself have gone back and forth between doing science and medicine and then doing movies. both writing and directing. And I've always been told to pick a lane or to pick a path. And I've always felt like I could do both. So I identified with Prem, who by the end of the movie, without giving spoilers, finds a way to include both in his life. So I think we get too much pressure when we're young to pick something and to find our passion and our track. And the truth is we can do many things, and both of you probably will over the course of your lifetimes.
I read that your movie 7 Days was filmed in 8 days. Is that true? And if so, how?
It was, yeah. 7 Days was made for $150,000, which is a very small sum of money to make a movie, because World's Best, for example, is almost $20 million. So they're very different in terms of their scale. And it was made for that little money because that was literally all we could afford to make it. And we had to shoot in 8 days because that was how much money we had. And it would require more money to shoot for more days. So we just shot a tremendous amount of material every day. We only work 12-hour days, which is actually not that bad as far as movie making goes. And it helped that that movie is only two people talking to each other for most of the movie in one room. It's set in one location. So it was very manageable in that respect. But that was the first movie I ever made in 2020.
You did 7 days with your romantic partner, Karon Sony, who is hilarious.
And most kids know him as Spider-Man India.
Yeah, he is a legend. He's very funny. His voice is in World's Best too. At the beginning, when the mom is listening to the podcast, that voice is Karen's voice. But it's a little Easter egg because I try not to make anything without him. And yeah, he's so funny. He's really funny, and I'm so proud of the work that he did as Spider-Man India. He's like one of my favorite parts of that movie. Did you guys watch that movie? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we
very fun.
reviewed it.
Oh, wow. I'll have to watch your review.
What is the best thing and hardest thing about working with someone so close to you?
It's honestly only been good because we get along so much, and I am in such awe of his talent. And I feel really lucky to see his talent because it can be hard when you're in a relationship with someone to see what they actually do and who they are at work. But I get to see that with Karan. So it's only been good from perspective.
Right now, you are working on the film A Nice Indian Boy. Do you think it will be rated PG-13?
Yes, the goal is for it to be PG-13. It's really a family movie. It's very funny. It's very emotional. We just finished making it actually in terms of the shooting part and are now editing it and or we'll begin editing it, and it will be sent to festivals next year, and then it'll come out, I hope, next year. But it's a little bit of a long ways away still.
What director has influenced your work the most?
I think Spielberg probably. He's I think my favorite director. And he makes movies for kids, for adults, for older adults, for younger adults. He can kind of reach broadly across all audiences and is really good with both comedy and emotion. And his movies look beautiful. So he's probably the director I admire the most.
What advice would you have for kids who want to make movies?
Well, I would say that it's never been easier to make a movie because the technology is so accessible. So, for example, for 7 Days, I had never made a movie before. I had never even been close to a camera. And I figured it out without any film school, without any training, simply because the technology is so easy to use. So, if either of you or any of the kids you know is interested in making a movie, I would say just make it. And as crazy as that sounds as advice, we wrote 7 days in 5 days. We filmed it in 8 days. And I think it's really important when you're making anything, any kind of art, to just proceed without any judgment or self-consciousness for yourself and to just put yourself out there. It's a really brave and beautiful thing when you make anything.
Finally, it's time for our Turbo 10.
10 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Number 1, what is your favorite phrase to use?
My favorite what?
Phrase to use.
Oh, I think I say that's crazy a lot. I don't know why. I'm always like calling things crazy, even though they're really not.
Number two, what is one subject you'd love to learn more about?
I really want to know more about how cameras work because it's really interesting. The lenses and the light and the physics and
Number 3, what is your go-to snack?
I love bananas. I eat like 4 to 5 bananas a day. So
Number four, what was your favorite movie growing up?
I think what was my favorite movie? Probably The Lion King.
Number 5, what is your favorite movie quote?
Um I actually don't have one. I there's one from an Indian film that I love a lot, which is hard to translate into English. From Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, but I don't think it would quite translate.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be? Number six. Yeah.
I think more time to like manufacture time because there's so much I want to do and so much time I want to spend with the people that I love, and sometimes I don't feel like I have enough of it.
Number 7, if you could teleport somewhere right now, where would you go?
Probably to my mom's house. I don't spend enough time with her, so I'll probably just go spend some time with her. I'm not really a big traveler, so but I spend a lot of time away from my family.
Number eight, what is your favorite rainy day activity?
Reading. I love reading. I actually love reading more than I like watching movies.
Number 9, if you could have any 3 dinner guests, who would they be?
Einstein because he's so fascinating. I'm assuming it can be people who aren't alive. And then Gandhi because he's politically and historically so interesting. And then who else? Um, Jane Campion, a director I really like. This is kind of what a random list, but that's what came to mind since it's rapid fire.
What is the best piece of advice anybody has given you?
Someone once told me the people who write books are the people who write books, and the people who make movies are the people who make movies, which sounds really kind of pedantic and silly, but is actually really true. And I think I waited too long before I realized that I could just make things, and I've felt very empowered since I realized that I always had that ability.
You did great. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh my God, of course.
And Dr. Sethi, thank you for spending this time with us.
We appreciate it so much.
And we can't wait to see your future movies.
That's so kind of both of you. And I'm so grateful to be, oh my God, my chair just went down. I'm so grateful to be included on your channel and in this video.